Check one, check two. Yep. 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 We got on YouTube. Should be live everywhere. Two more minutes to the show.
Great investors are like great basketball players. They're hard to come by. They have almost a gift, the ability to assimilate information, draw conclusions, and to act on their beliefs. It's a really unique and hard skill to find.
Yo! Let's have a look. I mean, I think we're in a really good spot in crypto. I mean, we have a lot of these other spots in the market, like stocks and stuff, looking at starting to sell off a little bit. And it just seems like crypto's been in this really deep bear market for a long time, while everything else is clearly outperformed, had this massive relative strength compared to everything else. So just from a risk to reward point of view, I think we're in a massive spot, as well as a liquidity flow point of view. I mean, I think we're going to see some liquidity flow into crypto as people rotate out of those bigger stocks, whether that's because you get a crash or whether that's just because the trade slows down and there's better opportunities elsewhere. So Bitcoin looks good. I mean, Bitcoin just being the main coin, we can see that we had this massive downtrend. So since October 10, when we had that liquidation event back here, we flipped bearish on the Summit Cloud, which is the trend indicator we use to track the trend. and we see that it was really bearish. We had this little bull flip, and then we continued. That was just a higher low, and we continued lower. This blue box is where I see Bitcoin as a good spot for buying. I think that you can kind of start to DCA, and it doesn't really matter where Bitcoin bottoms. All that matters is that I think it's really cheap, and we're in a good spot in crypto right now to see some of that liquidity flow. Where do you, what do you see Bitcoin? Yeah, I mean, first off is pump fun. So like, there's not too many altcoins I'm watching too much right now. We are seeing crypto have a little bit of a push up, and we'll talk about that and why that's happening later. But it's mainly been red for crypto, but Pump Fund was outperforming. We saw relative strength for Pump Fund, which was good to see. And now we can see that everything's kind of moving up. Um, but Pump Fund looks really good. We see a bull flip on Pump Fund after a big downtrend, just like everything else. Around the October 10 time, we got that bear flip and a big bear market, but everything else is still in a really deep bear trend. If we look at XRP, we can see how deep that bear trend is, but Pump Fund looks really good. And relative strength is super, super, super important in crypto. Last year at Summit, we watched Hype very closely. We saw a bull flip on Hype, and we saw that relative strength. We saw Zcash, Hype, and Venice, VVV, pretty much were the ones that were the only really thing worth holding in crypto. And we saw Hype push up, so that relative strength was really important. Seeing that trend was really important. And that's the kind of thing with crypto right now. You have to find spots and you have to slam them pretty much. There's not really that broader altcoin season, at least not while liquidity is so tight. So that's why I really like Pump. I think you're seeing that relative strength. I think that it has, it looks like it's got a good trend. We see a bull flip, and I think that it has good like earnings behind it as well. So over the past 2 years, Pump's made as much as Hyperliquid, around 1.2 billion, and they're making about $1 million a day right now. And we're both super bullish on on-chain coming back. So I don't know, what are your thoughts about on-chain? Because I think that really ties into another big part of the bull case for Pump. Yeah, yeah. I think there's a lot of really cool things happening on chain, but it's also just such a good way to bring retail in because everyone has such a gambling mindset nowadays. Like everyone wants that quick win. It's really easy. A lot of people come in to these kind of asset classes and all of that for FOMO to make money and stuff. So meme coins is a perfect example of that. You know, you see all these guys that are making hundreds of $1,000s a month. I'm seeing that everywhere at the moment. Everyone's July calendar from there. So I think on chain is going to come back. I think it's a great way to bring retail in. I think it's fun. Yeah, and I'm very bullish on chain as well as all the cool stuff happening on chain like dividends. Um, Yeah, so I think those are pretty much the coins I'm watching from a relative strength standpoint. Is ETH, Ondo, and Pump Fun are like the main ones. I think Sol looks good too, but again, if I like to follow the trend a little bit, like I do, you do want to get in early, and this is kind of a lagging indicator, so we'll get in a bit later. But I have these lines which will pretty much line up with the bull flip. 92 is a good area which I want to start allocating more Solana. I've been buying a little bit of Solana down here, but I don't want to get too aggressive until I see those bull flips. But yeah, you get that relative strength on ETH and Ondo, and like you were saying, um, ETH has flipped bullish after a massive bear trend, and everyone kind of said ETH was dead. Like no one really wanted to be involved in ETH anymore, and they were saying it's going to zero, it's going sub 1,000, and it still might. But Robinhood really bring back that catalyst for ETH, and we're seeing that relative strength, which is good. And we're seeing, yeah, that was really cool that Robinhood decided to use ETH on their new chain, and that chain had a lot of volume when it first came out, which was super interesting. It's cool to see, especially someone like Robinhood do something like that because they're pretty much um, the retail. But that also has been a really interesting thing on chain has been not just the RWA war, but the liquidity war. Like you saw some really weird things happening. Like Brian Armstrong changed his profile picture to a meme coin to try to get people on base. Like they're all trying to get people onto their own chain. I am kind of surprised that Vlad didn't kind of go a little bit harder on Cashcat to bring more people onto Robinhood. It seems like Robinhood's dying off a bit. Mm, yeah. Before we look more at some of the other charts, since we're so bullish on chain, we're going to be trading on chain. We are trading on chain now, and we'll be trading on chain as it continues to um, get more active, which we believe it will. What are you going to start doing with the profits on chain? Hmm. Yeah, so putting a lot of back into the crypto market, into spot players. Yeah. Yeah, because there's been some good plays on chain. There's a lot of opportunities to be making money at the moment. So yeah, it's interesting where people are taking that money because you're seeing so many people make money on chain. We had Ansem, we had Cashcat, even smaller runners like Marscoin. I know we were both super interested in that because it was one of those meme coins that came out and it was paying dividends in SpaceX, like you were talking about before. So there's been a lot of really good plays to make money. So it's interesting where that's gonna go. Yeah, I agree, but I also think that it's way deeper than like just memes. Like one of the projects I'm really bullish on, as well as one of the ones I was watching for that relative strength was Ondo, and I think Ondo's a great one, and I truly think it's silly to not believe that everything's going to be on chain, and especially like the stock market. I think that the world's going to move on chain, and I think it just makes so much more sense to trade stocks on chain, all of these kind of things. And Ondo's a really, really, really good project to get exposure to that. And it's having that relative strength. I mean, it flipped a bit earlier than everything else as well. So, but it's kind of chopped around this range. It's in that bull trend. So I think, yeah, stuff moving on chain is super exciting, and Ondo's a good way to get exposure to that. And I think everything's going to go on chain. Yeah. Yeah, there's definitely going to be some good opportunities. I think Bitcoin is just worth just kind of waiting and being patient and not caring too much about when the exact bottom is, but um, getting into these cheap levels. And then alts, I think it's fair to say you kind of just want to stay away from alts until you get those really good opportunities and you want to slam them. I think that's the play at the moment, at least. So watching that relative strength. And it's good to be in like those communities and like work with people directly so you can kind of see those opportunities, because that's one of the hardest parts about crypto. You really have to be so tapped in to understand and to see a lot of these things, especially to see them early. Um, yeah, I can pull that up. Yeah. Yeah, I don't want to plug this too much. I don't want to make this too much of an ad, but really quickly, I'll leave this a link for this down below and we'll talk about it more at the end. But if you go to summitmarkets.net, you can get the free report that all of our members get access to, or just put your email in and we will email you a free report for the week. We write about 4 pages on this report. It includes TA, macro, things we're spotting before everyone else spots them, because we're both super tapped into crypto. So we understand these things and we write a report so that our members can get access to it. But getting free access to that report, just put your email in. And if you want to book a call with us to work with us directly and join the members, then you can do so there as well. Yeah, this is the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ looks cooked. Seeing a bearish rollover on the NASDAQ. Yeah, it's interesting, right? Yeah, we just had that thing happen with Ken Griffin. So Ken Griffin's fund basically said that they think that there's going to be a rate hike, and it pushed the market way lower. And he basically chased out a super leveraged young guy who he did really well. He took his hedge fund from like $500 million to $45 billion MNAV, which was crazy. But he was just a little bit too leveraged, and he got taken out. And we saw a massive dump throughout those um, chip stocks and stuff, and then it kind of rips back up. So it doesn't look too bad now, but there's certain things that are starting to look really iffy. Like a lot of those lower cap, I almost said coins, lower cap stocks have kind of revived themselves after that incident. But yeah, the Nasdaq doesn't look too strong. The S&P looks okay. Um, it's still holding that bull trend, and it doesn't. It looks pretty strong. It's been up only, the S&P really. Yeah, yeah. This is in the video. We're seeing a little bit of a bearish rollover in the video. It doesn't look great. It looks a bit choppy. Came down from its highs, and yeah, it's interesting to see. I don't think it's worth creating a full narrative around that you're going to just get a rotation from AI to crypto. But I think it's definitely worth paying attention to that. There's such a good opportunity in crypto that it's already like crypto seems to front run a lot of the moves, and I think that it's kind of had the big chunk of its move. So to the downside, and it seems like stocks and AI has had their big chunk of the move to the upside. So yeah, there's a lot to be said about there's a really good position and a really good RR, a really good risk to reward in crypto right now. And I think that whether or not you see a massive flow or you just see it trickle down, I think we will definitely see some liquidity flow into crypto in the coming. Yeah, parabolic. It's insane. Like they pretty much didn't have pullbacks. If you were waiting for an entry on SanDisk, you didn't get it. It was it was ridiculous. Yeah. Like that chart, that's almost 6,000% from its lows. It's crazy. And the lows were in August of 2025. Yeah, and that's exactly what he was doing. Leopold, who's the young guy who had his hedge fund, he was 24 years old, and he saw this before anyone else, and he went, basically, I'm just going to start a hedge fund and make heaps of money off this. Why is no one else not doing this? Um, so he did well, and he did an amazing trade, and I think he'll be back. But yeah, all these moves like crazy, MU, all of them. And we're seeing them. Yeah, we're seeing them pull back for sure. Like this is getting a bear flip. It's about to flip bearish, not yet, but looks like tomorrow we'll probably see a bear flip, which we'll get on our software platform that our members get. You'll see on the scanner, we'll see the bear flip come in, and it's one of the indicators we use just to see the trend. We don't fully rely on the trend, but it's a good indicator. Like the trend is definitely your friend. Mm. Yeah, and it's important to note, like it doesn't matter if they fully crash and that money all rotates into crypto. That's not really the point. The point is that a lot of these stocks and a lot of where the attention has been is why would you be in crypto when you've got stocks going up 6,000%? More of the point is that it doesn't necessarily need to crash, but a little pullback could at least trickle down some attention towards crypto, which is what you want. And that could be massive for crypto because it's not a massive asset class. It's 2 trillion. Um, so it's in a great spot, crypto. Yeah, and stocks are looking a bit rough, but there's one stock which absolutely ripped, which we'll quickly talk about, which was Amazon. Amazon up 15.32% on my trading view. I think it was a little bit more before. But yeah, massive pump. It kind of flipped bearish and then it pumped up. Um, yeah, 100%. It's their biggest daily gain since 2012, surging 15%. It's a massive move. And yeah, 100%. Just like you said, the basically what happened was yesterday they reported their second quarter earnings, so July 30th. It wasn't yesterday; it was about 2 days ago. And the company posted $200.6 billion in net sales, which was a 20% increase year over year, surpassing estimates of approximately 196 to 197 billion. So they beat it by like 4 or 5 million, billion, which is yeah, it's crazy. So a massive move from Amazon. Oh, that's a good question. That's a good question. I think we were talking about it before, but I think there's going to be a massive fight for liquidity. So it's not going to be completely obvious at the start. But what will be the winning chain is interesting. Robinhood had a chance. They still do have a chance. I still think Solana, like especially if we start seeing retail come back and we expect retail to come back, I think Solana is the best chain. It's the easiest. It's the fastest. It's it just make I mean, it was a nightmare. I mean, if you've never been in crypto, it was a nightmare to bridge to Robinhood when it first came out. A lot of people waited just for it to come on FOMO, just so you could just use it because bridging was yeah, it was a nightmare. Yeah, no, no, no. I think Solana winning chain. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I would say winning chain Solana, but I think they'll fight for liquidity, so you can find spots everywhere, which has been the go recently. Like I was looking at a lot of guys' P&Ls from last month, and they were making money on like Zinketh is a massive on-chain trader, and he made tons of money on like 6 different chains. He was trading Murad chain, Base, Robinhood, Solana, all of them. XRP chain, he made like 1.1 million on XRP chain. Yeah, he's a great trader, so that's really interesting to see as well. Hmm. Yeah, Ansem said he said $600, and then he said his real target was, let's pull up the Solana chart here. He said his real target was ETH's all-time high market cap as Solana's, so that would be around a $990 Solana ish, I believe, from memory. Was like yeah, just under. Yeah, but I mean, I think he really, it was crazy his call. Like he really did call the bottom, at least the local bottom for Solana and Bitcoin, and did really well with his coin. And we can talk more about Ansem coin later. But as for Solana, I think his target is probably high, but I think he's in the right ballpark. I'm super bullish on Solana. I want to see it reclaim the Summit Cloud, which would also go hand in hand with claiming these levels. These are the two important levels I'm watching, mainly 92. I think 92 is a big level. If we can break above there, um, that'd be big for Solana. But overall, I'm bullish on Solana. Personally, I'm DCAing a little bit down here, but would I recommend that? Probably not. I would recommend waiting for a bull flip or coming up here, and that's when I'll start to get more aggressive with it. But yeah, I think on chain and just everything will cause Solana to go up. So I think he's right in the bull case, but it's a big target. What do you think about the target? 600. Mm. Yeah, but I also think like if you're really if you're really in crypto and you're really like watching what's happening, you don't necessarily need tons of liquidity because it's not like other cycles where you can kind of just throw a dart at the board and hit. It's more like you find spots and you slam it and those spots go insane. Like we had Hyperliquid, I don't know if we talked about that, but Hyperliquid Zcash and VVV had a huge run while nothing else went. So yeah, 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 for sure. Yeah. So that looks good. But yeah, crypto's in a really interesting spot here. As for the macro side, we have markets pricing in a rate hike, which is insane. Doesn't really make sense considering um, everything that's going on to hike the rate. But we can see here the Fed decision in September is now considering a rate hike. This is interesting because these charts are now so volatile. The poly market predictions are now so volatile because we have the no forward guidance from the Fed anymore, which means that you don't really know what's happening. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I don't think they hiked the rates. I think it's just such a volatile predictions market because no one really knows. We had the jobs come out and it was 57,000 new jobs in June, which isn't enough. So they would have to they would have to print to help that out, but then oil's too high, which causes inflation. We have oil. That's actually a good story. We could talk about that next. One of the reasons why we were seeing so much green across the board from crypto specifically is because of this. We had Trump say that US and Iran have agreed to the intermediate and complete reopening of the Strait of Hormuz. So this happens every week. It's ridiculous, but this is good. I mean, every time it's an opening, we're happy. Every time it's closing, we're sad. But the openings are good. So hopefully this is one of the openings. Because at some point, one of the openings has to be the last opening, right? It can't go on forever. It, mm, it is key, and it shouldn't really matter. I mean, like, because this impact shouldn't be on speculators. It should be on what the Fed's going to do and what the Fed can do. But yeah, like you were saying, that is a good. Like, it shouldn't matter, but it does matter, and it's good that it doesn't right now. It's good to see that crypto isn't dumping on bad news and it is pumping on good news. That's kind of not what you see. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, because that's what you see in bear markets. You see um, good news and the price doesn't move, and then bad news and the price dumps. And you kind of see the opposite in bull markets. This isn't a bull market yet, but it's a good sign of relief, or at least. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we spoke. I think we spoke about that a little bit before, but I think yeah, well, you were saying that you would move on-chain liquidity into spot, but I would as well, but also cash because, like I was saying before, I think especially now in crypto, there's a lot more of an opportunity to find specific spots and slam them. So having cash is really good, especially in a bull market, because we've seen so many of these spots even now, like with Ansem, Cash Cat. Like if you're really paying attention, you can get in a trade like Ansem and Cash Cat, which really I don't want to say obvious, but they're kind of in your face. And if you can have enough capital to put into that, there's so many opportunities, even like less risk, like pump fund and stuff. So having a bit of cash and yeah, metals. I think metals is also a really good play. Um, we can look at metals. I mean, it kind of they don't look great. Like they still look like they're in a downtrend, but from a macro time frame and from a like debasement trade kind of point of view, kind of the same trade as Bitcoin in a way. Um, just having real money, hard money that's not printed out of thin air, you know, that story you probably heard 100 times is one of the reasons I really like metals. But they're in a downtrend. But yeah, I want to move a bit of money to metals, or I will continue to move a bit of money to gold and silver. Yeah, like there was, I don't know the exact stats, but there was something like they printed like 80% of the cash in like 10 years or something ridiculous. But yeah, just them being like the leading currency of the world means that they run the economy in a deficit, which means that their interest repayments, they're not going to be able to pay them off. Like as those get bigger, it just gets worse and worse. So yeah, the Fed's stuck for the same in that same kind of regard. And yeah, I think that metals is a good play to hedge yourself against that kind of monetary policy. Yeah, like you don't want to diversify yourself too thin. I think that's a super common mistake. Like a lot of people, when they don't have enough knowledge in the markets, they don't have the time to track it. They just diversify themselves really thin, and you just don't really end up making any capital if you diversify yourself too thin. But a little bit of diversification is definitely a good play. But yeah, that hack was interesting. Did you see that? Yeah. Yeah, not your keys, not your coins, for sure. Yeah, it was interesting. It was a cold card exploit. So weak seed generation led to an attacker rebuild private keys. So basically, the hacker got in, and this company had weak seed generation with your seed phrases like your password essentially, and the way that that company generated. It's terrible. And they swept over 1,000 Bitcoin from nearly 1,200 wallets. So yeah, it's a yeah for sure. Yeah, yeah, we covered charting. From a crypto perspective, we're bullish crypto, and we will continue to do these streams every week. We'll look at TA, macro, on chain, everything. We're big on chain at the moment, so we'll talk a lot more about on chain next week and charting updates. Again, like I was talking about at the start, if you do want to reach out to us, I'll leave a link for our website down below. You can get the free read. So this is the read we do every week, just outlining the market and everything that we see, whether that's TA, all of it is in there. It's 3 to 4 pages. So just put your email in, you get the read. And if you want to book a call with us, you can book a call up there and work directly with us. Yeah, we'll be back for another live stream